Shabbat Shalom, everyone. We think that we're live streaming, and so we welcome everybody watching from home as well. There was an issue earlier, but we begin our Shabbat welcome this evening with a song from the Psalms that we don't often do. It's been quite a while. It's a song called Achat Sha'alti. You can find it in the back of the prayer book on page 358. The words in English are, "One thing I ask of Adonai, and only that do I seek, to live in the house of Adonai all the days of my life, to gaze upon the beauty of Adonai, and to frequent God's temple." That third line in Hebrew, lachazot benoam, means to gaze upon the beauty or the splendor of God's temple. Noam means pleasantness or beauty, and some of you know here that that's the name of my younger son, Noam. So I'll have to tell him that the song tonight featured his name.
I did that on purpose.
On purpose. Typically, the Shabbat before Rosh Hashanah is when special prayers of penitence and slichot are recited. Usually the Shabbat before Rosh Hashanah. But if there's less than a few days, 3 days between the Shabbat and Rosh Hashanah, it moves a week earlier. So this year, Rosh Hashanah is on a Monday, Sunday night Monday. So Slichot are not the Saturday before Rosh Hashanah, but this Motzei Shabbat, this end of Shabbat. With that in mind, I do want to add an opening reading that speaks to the theme of forgiveness, one of the additional prayers from the High Holy Days that we don't often get to read in our service. This one reads, "We are not so arrogant as to pretend that the trial of our lives does not reveal our flaws. We know ourselves in this moment of prayer to have failed the ones we love, and to have failed the stranger again and again. We know how often we did not bring to the surface of our lives the hidden goodness within. Where we have achieved, O God, we are grateful. Where we have failed, we ask forgiveness. Remember how exposed we are to the chances and terrors of life. We were afraid. We sometimes chose to fail. And we ask, turn our thoughts from the hurt to its remedy. free of us of the torments of guilt. This reading ends, forgiven, we shall then forgive others. Failing, we shall learn to understand failure. Renewed and encouraged, we shall strive to be like those who came before us, human. Sinners sometimes, yet often a blessing. Our welcome of Shabbat continues now with the singing of Lecha Dodi on page 20. Call to worship, the Baruch Hu, page 28. Please be seated. On page 31, in praise of the world around us, praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'ma'ariv aravim. From the world around us to the beautiful world within us, Ahavat Olam, page 32. Let's join in the Shema and V'ahavta.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha B'chol levacha B'chol nafshecha U'b'chol me'otecha Ve'hayu הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברתם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם להות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בעיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכה תזכרו ועשיתם את כל
מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים
לאלוהיכם.
אני
אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם.
The reading before the Michamocha on the bottom of page 39 resonates as we stand before the High Holy Days. Let's read this responsively, replying with the indented portion. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth.
The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love.
From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way.
Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces.
Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed.
Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea.
Michamocha, the next page. Page 42, grant, O God, that we lie down in peace and raise us up, our guardian, to life renewed, spread over us the shelter of your peace. Hashkivenu. Page 44, the people of Israel shall keep Shabbat, observing Shabbat throughout the ages as a covenant for all time. V'shamru. Before we continue with the Amidah, I want to mention something that the people viewing from home cannot see, and that is that there's this adorable little baby girl staring at me and staring at the Cantor and enjoying the service and music. Liana, how old is she now?
15 months.
15? 15 months of pure beauty and blessing.
Oh, well behaved.
And so that's why you see me smiling so much and bobbing my head. Just wanted to explain that to our congregation from home as we continue now with the Tefillah prayer, page 46, we rise.
Emuno, hakol. Baruch atah Adonai, mikayeh hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kedoshim b'kol yom yamenu t'aseh. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh.
Please be seated. In the spirit of Elul and Slichot, actually we'll ask you to turn back a page to read the responsive reading, once again alternating with me, on page 51. Not one that we do that often, but very appropriate, very beautiful too. We pray that we might know before whom we stand, the power whose gift is life, who quickens those who have forgotten how to live.
Disperse the choking air of sadness, the cleansing rains to make parched hopes flower, and to give all of us the strength to rise up toward the sun.
We pray for love to encompass us, for no other reason save that we are human, for love through which we may all blossom into persons who have gained power over our own lives.
We pray to stand upright, we fallen, to be healed, we sufferers. We pray to break the bonds that keep us from the world of beauty. We pray for opened eyes, we who are blind to our own authentic selves.
We pray that we may walk in the garden of a purposeful life, our own powers in touch with the power of the world.
Praise be the God whose gift is life, whose cleansing rains let parched men and women flower toward the sun.
Baruch atah Adonai mikayeh hakol. We conclude the Amidah section with the prayer of peace. Shalom Rav, or grant us peace. Grant us peace, page 61, the beautiful English interpretation of the prayer of peace.
Grant us peace, your most precious gift, eternal source of peace. Give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country, that it may always be a safeguard of peace. Bless our country and its advocate among the nations. Contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of every land. Bless our country, that it may always be a safeguard of peace. Bless our country and its advocate among the nations. Love of your name, hallow every home and every heart. Praised are you, eternal one, who blesses our people with shalom.
Now, at the end of the Amidah, our thoughts turn to those of our loved ones in need of healing, be this a healing of body or a healing of soul. It just seems like every time that we are thinking of someone and perhaps they have reached healing, we think about somebody else. We hear about somebody else in our circle. And we know, of course, there's so many people that we don't know around us, close to us, but further away in need of healing as well. We summon those people to mind as we join with the Cantor in the healing prayer. The Torah portion this week, Ki Tavo, dovetails quite appropriately with the fact that we're almost at the new year, and during this period of reflection and soul searching, because the bulk of this week's Torah portion speaks about the path of blessing and the path of curse. Actually, the accent is on the path of curses to avoid, and we're actually going to look at that more in depth tomorrow morning at our Torah study. We're going to go through those curses. That'll be a lot of fun, but important. Important. So now, as we pause for a few moments before, during our silent prayer, we do think about the choice that's before us all the time. Can we tip those scales a little bit better? Blessing, curse, wherever it may be, can we add a blessing to make the scales tip a little bit more in a favorable direction? We pause. The words that the Cantor just sang speak about bringing a little bit more chesed, a little bit more love into the building of our world, whatever it may be, into our professional lives, our personal lives, our civic lives even, you might say. And I wanted to speak briefly this evening about a civic issue that's just been bothering me, and I figured I'll speak about it before the holidays. It's been in the Jewish news quite a bit lately. And I'm doing so out of a place of caring, although I'm going to go out on a limb before I'm done with a bit of criticism. And especially in my capacity as the head of JPS, I think you know that one of the privileges I get to work with people across the entire spectrum. So even though in this congregation I'm ensconced in my reform movement and the one I grew up in, I regularly interact with the three great schools across the river. Because when you think about it, just across the river are the three flagship schools of the Jewish community in this country. There's the Hebrew Union College, Jewish Institute of Religion. I'm a 1985 ordinated graduate, and that's the same school where student Cantor Joe Flaxman is studying right now. That's the flagship school that ordains the rabbis, the cantors, the educators of the Reform movement. On the Upper West Side, you have the Jewish Theological Seminary, JTS, similar for the conservative movement. And then even a little further north in Washington Heights is Yeshiva University for the modern Orthodox movement. Yeshiva University is a true full-service university. It has the rabbinical school, which wields tremendous power, but it is also a complete undergraduate and graduate university. So YU, Yeshiva University, has just been in the news constantly lately. Most recently, because this past week, it brought its appeal of a ruling to the Supreme Court of the United States. Apparently, the Supreme Court is going to hold this case. And what is it about? It's about the fact that Yeshiva University denied a group of LGBTQ students the opportunity to form a pride alliance at their school. And Yeshiva University maintained they had the right to do so. Interestingly enough, a variety of lower courts said, no, when we look at your charter, you say that you're a educational institution, not a religious institution, and therefore you're not allowed to discriminate. And while you said we are an educational institution, but we're a sectarian, religious educational institution, and therefore we do have the right to enforce whatever policies we want. So, I went to a legal website, a legal education website, to understand, because first I wanted to grapple with the question, can a sectarian educational institute, are they allowed to discriminate on the basis of religion, on the basis even of race? And the answer is yes. Whereas secular education or other educational institutions may not, the law has basically carved out an exception for religious institutions. So a religious institution a religious education institution, even one of higher learning, can say all students must be Jewish, all students must be Christian. They can actually have very, very wide latitude. Now, what is at stake when a court finds that a regular education institution has discriminated? Well, federal funding, state funding, it can all be taken away. And if it's a not-for-profit institution, your tax-exempt status can be taken away. So religious educational institutions, do they receive federal funding? Yes, they do. Are they nevertheless still tax-exempt? Yes, they are. With the exception, they have great latitude. That's the general thing. So now let's focus in. What's going on here? YU maintains actually that they don't discriminate, despite what the courts found that they do by denying this group of students the opportunity to organize. Because almost all, but not all, it has to be consistent with the standards, the religious beliefs of the school, but mostly when students come to ask for a club, an alliance, they're granted it very quickly. So Yeshiva University has recently emphasized, and I quote from them in their brief, that we continually enforce policies prohibiting any form of harassment or discrimination, upholding diversity, inclusion, and sensitivity training to better reflect our concern for LGBTQ students. We ensure that there are staff at the counseling center with specific experience in this regard. We've appointed a point person to oversee what they call a warm phone line that will be available for anyone to report any concerns pertaining to non-inclusive behavior. And we continue to create a space for students, faculty, and Rosh Yeshiva to continue this conversation. However, they have brought the appeal to the Supreme Court because they're arguing they have the right to determine what their policy shall be and what their definition of discrimination or not discrimination shall be. Let's assume that this case is accepted by the Supreme Court in its docket and is going to be decided by the Supreme Court. What do you think is going to happen? I believe that Yeshiva University will win this case easily with the current Supreme Court. But that's not my point. My point is, why is Yeshiva University doing this? In all the discussion, what they haven't explained is why they denied these students an opportunity to form a student group, an alliance. My suspicion is that the Rosh Yeshiva the heads of the rabbinical part, the seminary part of Yeshiva University, said that this is not consistent with our beliefs. But, I'll ask you, and I've been asking myself, well, if you can say all these things about supporting LGBTQ students on the one hand, why can't you take that extra step? Everybody I know in the YU community is lining up to defend the university. But I was happy to see in the Standard of this past week, one columnist who is a YU graduate himself. I don't know how many people he speaks for, but he says, you know what the title of the piece is? There must be a better way. And he essentially argues that YU is reaping a whole lot of publicity. It's probably making its conservative base, which is substantial, among them big donors, happy. But he said it could have found a way to take that extra step because the students were not challenging Jewish law. They were not saying we want to change what the Torah teaches or we want to promulgate some new policy. They were, what they were asking for? Things like on Purim, can we send out special Purim baskets from the Pride Alliance? Can we have a special Shabbat, Pride Shabbat? Things like that. They weren't challenging the Torah's teaching. Finally I'll say, look, I'm trying to understand YU's position, not their political position. They're going to win this case, okay? Well, I'm trying to understand why they stopped short. And I confess to not fully understanding it myself, because I do agree with Joseph Kaplan, who said that, YU could have avoided all this by simply giving guidance to the alliance that wants to be formed about, what actions are acceptable. But he said it wasn't about behavior per se. These students actually wanted to have a undergraduate experience at YU that meets their needs, without challenging the strictures of modern Orthodox Judaism. So in the end, a little bit more hesed, a little bit more, humility and understanding could have avoided, I think a major controversy and rift. Do the Jewish people win in a situation like this? I mean, that's not the only consideration. Some would argue yes, because YU is going to get an affirmative ruling from the Supreme Court about religious freedom, and that will benefit all religious groups. I don't think so. I think the Jewish world is going to lose because here was an opportunity for a modern Orthodox group, with all respect to their modern Orthodoxy, to have erred on the side of love, support, inclusion, diversity. Will they reverse course to moot this Supreme Court case? I doubt it very much. But if we personalize this lesson a little bit, sometimes rather than standing on strict principle, maybe we can find a way for chesed yibaneh, for love to prevail. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
So we're going to open the Ark and see the beautiful Torah scrolls, which will soon be changed to white. But right now they're still in their regular garb. As we do so, we turn to the Aleinu, the bottom of page 282, and we please rise.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גאולה יוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסן הארץ, ומושן יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובה מרומים. הוא אלוהינו הינוד, אמת מגנו אפס זולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום מהשבות אל לבביך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחתנו, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו
On this Shabbat, we now call to mind and love in reverence the Yortzeit, the anniversary of the passing of Betty Chardoff, mother of Gary Chardoff, Emily Jaffe, mother of Sheila Spector. For all those close to our hearts, for all those for whom there may be no one to say Kaddish, we join in the Kaddish prayer, page 294. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabba, be'alama tivrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon v'yomechon uv'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, ba'gala uv'izman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehi Shlam Rabba Mevarach Leolam Olamei Almaya. Yitbarak v'yishtabak v'yitpa'ar v'yitroman v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei d'kudisha b'richu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechmata da'amiran be'alma v'imru Amen. Yehi Shlama Rabba min Shamayim, B'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru Amen. Oseh shalom b'imramav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. Please be seated. Michael Fishbein, our president, will offer some announcements this evening.
Thank you, Rabbi. And I believe in your next career you'll be going to law school and being a lawyer, and you'll do a great job just as you have done as a publisher and a rabbi. And thank you, student Cantor Joe Flaxman. And we're particularly appreciative of your singing of Grant Us Peace, the Grant Us Peace prayer. it brings to mind that the setting for that prayer was composed by our dear Iris Carlin, and you paid great tribute. Thank you. And hello to our youngest member who came out tonight, Liana Villafani. Hello. Torah study meets tomorrow at 10 a.m. in the social hall, as the rabbi indicated. It's going to be fun. Curses, what could be better? All are welcome, and you need not have attended any previous Torah study sessions to follow that discussion. Religious school is on for this Sunday at 9 a.m., and confirmation class meets at 11 a.m. with the rabbi. A special thank you to Annette DeMarco, who is heading up the school while Shira Friedman, our school director, is on leave. She has worked tirelessly to make the school year a success. Tat Rosh Hashanah will be meeting at 9:30 this Sunday, I believe. So we look forward to that. On Monday evening, the Nitwits are scheduled to get together at 7 p.m. Erev Rosh Hashanah is Sunday, September 25th at 8 p.m. There will be crossing guards at Broad Avenue to assist congregants parking in the lot across the street from the temple. Erev Rosh Hashanah also begins our high holiday food drive. Food can be brought to the vestry room at the back of the sanctuary or be placed in bins on the school porch. Rosh Hashanah morning service the next day will begin at 10 a.m. The festive children's service begins at 2 p.m., followed by Tashlich at 3:30 at Overpeck Park in Leonia, located just past the bridge into the park. I want to give a special shout out tonight to our streamer, Dylan Priblo, who handled the streaming issue that arose tonight with great finesse. Thank you. Tonight's Oneg Doris brought the challah, and Annette and I think Barbara were instrumental in setting things up. Thank you very much. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Just one other thing to mention for those of you who live in Leonia. Leonia's annual International Day of Peace is taking place on Sunday. This corresponds with the United Nations International Day. End Racism is part of the continuing theme. I participate every year and will do so. 4:30 to 6 is the ceremony at the Methodist Church on the lawn, outside, as it is every year. It's my privilege to participate with other faith leaders from Leonia at the International Day of Peace. Our Shabbat service, and do remember that there is another Shabbat next week before Rosh Hashanah, which begins on Sunday evening. So we will have a Shabbat service, one more before the end of the year 5782. But this Shabbat service will conclude with a song that the Cantor introduced last week to us. Very appropriate for the turn of the year, the turning of the season as well. Turning of the World is the name of this English song.
Let us sing this song for the turning of the world, that we may turn as one. Let us sing this song for the turning of the world, that we may turn as one. With every verse, with every song, we will move this world along, and our lives will feel the echo of our turn. With every voice, with every song, we will move this world
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.